Hey everybody. So today we are covering Acts, and actually today and tomorrow we're going to be covering the readings from Sunday in Acts. We're just going to do it over 2 days. So today we're going to do Acts chapter 2 verses 1 to 13. So make sure to hit pause and read that and then come on back for our devotion. Okay, so we are going to first off get a huge major hint on what the rest of the text is going to be about from verse 1, just a few words in, because it says, when the day of Pentecost came, ta-da, right? We're talking about Pentecost. Now, verses 1 to 4 paint this very vivid picture of what Pentecost looked like. It's almost like you can, by reading it, experience it with all your senses. It talks about the whole room being filled, this mighty rushing wind, tongues of fire. So, was there heat? Was there not? We don't know. But power is going on in this room with all these disciples in there. And just as a note, we believe that there's about 120 people in this room, and we understand that from the previous chapter, Acts 1, verses 13 to 15. So it's not just the apostles who get the Holy Spirit, which is really cool. It extends to disciples as well. Now, there is a difference between those two. I've talked about that in previous devotions, so maybe go back and check those out. So the next part, verses 5 and following, it talks about all these Jewish leaders being in town in Jerusalem. And the reason why they're there, get this, is for the Pentecost feast. And yes, in fact, that's a real thing. We hear about that in Exodus. One particular reference is Acts chapter 34, verses 22. Now, this festival of Pentecost actually goes by two names. One, the Feast of Pentecost. The other one is the Feast of Weeks. And this festival is basically where Jews bring their wheat harvest in to the temple for sacrifice Thanksgiving. So it's, to me, really interesting because you see God choosing major Jewish festivals to do major things in the Christian church. One example of that then would be Passover, and that Jesus dies on Passover, the Paschal Lamb, the Passover Lamb, Jesus dies when the Passover Lamb died. So little L and big L. So I think that's significant that God ties in these parts of Jewish festivals into major Christian occurrences, because I think that's a part of God making that transition that's major from the Israelites being his chosen people, which the Israelites are not only God's chosen people up until this point. It's that God has chosen them, called them to be the deliverers of his word. Because we do know that there were other people who were not Jewish who were a part of the Jewish religion, believing in God back in the Old Testament. So when Pentecost comes, this turns into a big, here everyone is going to be my missionaries, my ambassadors, not just the Israelites. And it starts here at Pentecost. Now, you've got when they start listing out all these places that are there present, is actually really powerful, because it's a reference to the other part of Acts that we're going to go over tomorrow. This idea that your name, oh God, will be proclaimed to all nations. Well, literally, everyone from all over the known world, the Roman Empire at that point, is here in Jerusalem for this Passover feast, Jewish Passover feast. And now you see this reversal when they list all these names of places and all these different languages, right? A reversal from Babylon. So, sorry, not Babylon, Babel, the Tower of Babel. So when the Tower of Babel happened, God confuses people's language because they sin. They don't spread out over the whole earth like God had told them to. And so their punishment then is all these different languages, which forces them to spread out. And now you have God bringing all these languages back together at Pentecost, because the disciples can speak in all these different languages so that all these people can hear and understand. And this is a part of what we see with Jesus in his earthly ministry. Every time he does a miracle, it's a glimpse of heaven on earth. And here is, again, one of those instances where God is bringing together all of his people in the knowledge of his son Jesus. So that's as far as we're going to get on this text. A reminder that the questions are down in the comments, so I encourage you to check out that along with some extra resources. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.